Hello and welcome to lecture 4. In lecture 3, we talk about cbind and rbind, which can be used to join simple vectors or datasets together. In this video, we will start exploring joining functions within the tidyr package. However, before we dive into different types of joining functions, I think it's better for us to take a look at the general format we can use when we call join functions. So the general format we use when we call different kinds of joining functions is xjoin. X stands for either left, right, inner, or full, which are 4 different types of joining functions we will cover in future tutorials. Inside the joining functions parentheses, we will type in data1, which represents a dataset, data2, another dataset, and y equals concatenation joining parameters. So let's start the tutorial by talking about what are joining parameters. So joining parameters are basically identifiers of datasets. So you may ask, what are identifiers for datasets? To summarize, identifiers basically tell R how to identify each element in datasets we wanted to join together. For example, let's take a look at the cow data. So we can see the cow data is based on country code and year observation format, right? This means that we can locate an observation by using country code plus year. Let's say we want to locate country 2's milks in year 1914. What we do is first we find country code 2, and then we find year 1914. By doing so, we get country 2's milks in 1914, right? So what we just did, using country code and year to find an observation, makes country code and year identifiers for the cow data frame. Now, please pause the video and try to find the identifiers for the WDI dataset. Welcome back. The identifiers for the WDI dataset should be country code or country name plus year. Since country code and country name are interchangeable variables, we only need one of them. Let's see why. For example, if we want to look at US milks in 1967, let's say, we can either look for the name United States, right? And find the year 1967. Or we can find the country code 2 and the year 1967. Both ways will allow us to find the milks value for the United States in the year 1967. Okay, so now at this point, we already find identifiers for cow data and WDI data. Please pause the video again and try to find common identifiers for cow data and WDI data, which we will use for joining functions. Welcome back. The common identifiers for both datasets should be country code and year, right? This is because that only these 2 identifiers are present in both datasets. On the other hand, only WDI data has country name, so we cannot use country name as a common identifier for cow data and WDI data. So one helpful way for us to double check whether we came up with the correct identifiers for 2 datasets is to ask ourselves, can we determine 2 observations from 2 datasets, but are based on the same subjects, the same, by having equal identifier for the 2 observations? Okay, at this point, we already know that in order to join the 2 datasets, we need to input country code and year as identifiers in the joining functions, right? This means that in the concatenation parentheses, after the by equals, we need to input country code and year. And we need to replace data 1 and data 2 with cow data and WDI data, right? So let's take a look at what we're going to do to join call data and WDI data together. What's the format we're going to use? So the format should be X join, which stands for different kinds of joining functions, WDI, WDI data, cal data. By equals concatenation, country code, and year. Okay, so we can either do xjoin, WDI data, cal data, joining parameters, or we can do xjoin, cal data, WDI data, by equals concatenate, country code, and year. You may wonder what's the difference between the two different kind of format we can input when joining the two data sets together. In short, the order of data sets will matter for some join functions, yet the order of identifiers does not matter for all joining functions. So one thing to keep in mind is that when we are inputting the identifiers, we do not care about orders. They can be either country code, year, or year country code, right? However, when we are inputting the data sets into the join functions, the order matters. We will cover that in future tutorials, and this is all we have for this tutorial. So to summarize, in this tutorial, we learn about the general format of joining functions, which is inputting two data sets, and then inputting joining parameters, which are just identifiers. We also covered how to look for identifiers for two data sets, right? We find identifiers for each data set, and we find the common identifiers of both data sets. So in future videos, we will talk about what different joining function does instead of focusing on the format of joining functions. So please be comfortable with the general format we use when we call a joining function, and please be comfortable with finding common identifiers of two data sets. Thank you for watching, and looking forward to see you in the next tutorial.